Welcome. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this reorganization meeting of the Princeton Council. The date is January 3rd, 2019. Madam Clerk, have we met all the noticing requirements for this meeting?
Yes, Mayor.
And will you all please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I can happily report to those present that at the general election held last November, Eve Niedergang and Dwayne Williamson were elected to serve on Princeton Council beginning today. And I'd like to call up Melissa Hager, Esquire, to come forward to administer the oath of office to Ms. Niedergang. And Eve, you should come up too. And if you want to, you could handhold the mic if that's easier. Whatever works. And now will Reinald L. Ponder, Esquire, please come forward to administer the oath of office to Mr. Williamson.
Sincerely profess and swear that I do and
right, now that we're all here, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Niedergang? Mr. Cohen?
Here.
Ms. Crumiller?
Here.
Mr. Quinn?
Here.
Ms. Fraga?
Here.
Mr. Williamson?
Here.
Mayor Lampert?
Here. And I will now accept nominations for the office of Council President.
Mayor, it's my great honor to nominate for another year as our council president the inestimable, I mispronounced that word, Jenny Crumiller.
And it is my honor to second that motion.
Excellent. And are there any other nominations? Okay, is this a roll call vote?
You wanted a roll call, yes.
Okay, all right, please call the roll.
Ms. Niedergang?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Crumiller?
Yes.
Yes, on yourself. Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Ms. Fraga?
Yes.
Mr. Williamson?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, Jenny. And it's now my pleasure, I don't want to forget to do it this year, to swear you in.
Oh,
So we should go down.
This is my last year's hold.
Right hand.
Sincerely profess and swear
Sincerely profess and swear
that I do and will bear the true faith and allegiance
that I do and will bear the true faith and allegiance
to the government established in this state
to the government established in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of the office of Princeton Council President
and perform all the duties of the office of Princeton Council President
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Congratulations. Okay, now we move to the consent agenda, which is a long consent agenda tonight. I do want to remove one item, which is number 17. We're going to hold that by request of the engineering department, and we'll take that up on the 14th. Are there any other items anybody want removed from the consent agenda at this point? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Quinn and seconded by Ms. Crumiller. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda passes. And next, we have some remarks for tonight, and I will begin. First, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. It's great to see a full house, and I want to congratulate again Eve and Dwayne. We're so excited to have you here.
Mayor.
as part of council. We have some special guests tonight, too, I wanted to recognize. Robert Field and Brandon Parrish are here from the governor's office. Thank you for coming. Assemblyman Andrew Zwicker. Assemblyman Roy Fryman. County Executive Brian Hughes is here tonight. Freeholder Andrew Kuntz. Freeholder Ann Cannon is here. And also Freeholder Tonya Carabelli is here. Thank you all for joining us. On a sunny day back in August, when it was about 50 degrees warmer than today, we celebrated the reopening of the Mary B. Moss Playground in the historic Witherspoon-Jackson neighborhood and turned on the water to a new spray ground. The project involved more than just an amazing new playground. It included buildable space for a Habitat for Humanity affordable housing duplex, as well as speed tables on John Street to slow traffic and make it safer for pedestrians and bicyclists. The reopening event marked the culmination of a multi-year process involving the council, Recreation Board, Engineering Department, Historic Preservation Committee, neighbors, affordable housing advocates, and other interested members of the community, and was made possible through a partial funding from Mercer County. The project's ultimate success, a new playground, affordable housing, and a safer street, exemplifies how collaboration among government, citizen volunteers, nonprofit partners, and engaged residents can work for the benefit of all. The Mary Moss Playground Renovation Project was recognized with an award from the New Jersey Society of Municipal Engineers and has become a favorite place for our children, who now have another reason to count the days until summer. Working together with municipal staff, volunteers, and community partners has been key to Council's accomplishments this past year as we addressed issues affecting affordability, equity, sustainability, wellness, and user-friendly government. And working together will be key as we continue to make progress on these priorities in 2019. One of Princeton's greatest challenges remains affordability. Council has worked together with the Citizens Finance Advisory Committee, especially the chair, Scott Sillers, who's here tonight, CFO Sandy Webb, and other members of the municipal staff to find budget savings as well as strategically plan for the future. I'm happy to report that municipal taxes stayed flat in 2018, the third time since consolidation that municipal taxes either remained flat or went down. At the same time, Council directed $2.1 million of surplus funds to prepay a portion of our capital obligations, resulting in significant long-term savings. Since consolidation, the municipality has reduced its debt burden by $14 million. This prudent fiscal planning has contributed to maintaining our AAA bond rating. Council made some difficult budget cuts this past year, including the transition to a new model for dispatch using civilian personnel, which will save the town $1.7 million over the next 5 years. Under the direction of Chief Sutter, our police department concluded a comprehensive recruiting process and hired 8 new officers to fill current and pending vacancies without increasing squad size. The new recruits include 2 Spanish-speaking officers and 2 women, furthering our efforts to have a police department that reflects the diversity of our community. With the elevation of Chris Morgan to captain, the department has now fully reorganized with a significantly reduced budget and a smaller number of senior officers compared to pre-consolidation levels. This fulfills the promise predicted by consolidation of a leaner and more nimble force. Ultimately, a robust commercial sector is a key component to our town's financial health. Shortly after taking office last January, Governor Phil Murphy chose Princeton's Tiger Labs on Nassau Street as the backdrop for his first executive order involving economic development, small business support, and innovation. As a further sign of Princeton's burgeoning innovation economy, last month Google announced the opening of an office in Palmer Square in collaboration with Princeton University researchers. As Princeton grows, it's crucial we do so in a way that helps to lift all boats, preserves our unique sense of place, minimizes negative environmental impacts, and enhances livability. In 2018, as Princeton negotiated with Fair Share Housing Center to finalize our affordable housing plans, we moved forward on several projects. In addition to the Habitat for Humanity homes adjacent to Mary Moss Playground, Princeton partnered with Community Options to open a group home for disabled adults. We also entered into an MOU with Princeton Housing Authority and Princeton Community Housing for the development of affordable housing on the Franklin Street parking lot. Princeton's Affordable Housing Department continues to offer affordability assistance and housing rehabilitation loans to those who qualify. Meanwhile, the Housing Stability Coalition, a group that includes Princeton's Human Services Department, Arm in Arm, Housing Initiatives of Princeton, Homefront, Stonehill Church, and St. Vincent de Paul, prevents homelessness in Princeton by providing emergency rental assistance. Since its inception in November of 2016, the coalition has distributed over $40,000, shielding 57 families and individuals in Princeton from homelessness. The Mercer County Hot Lunch Program for senior citizens returned to Princeton in 2018, and I see Lisa Wu in the audience, and I want to thank her for her advocacy on this. And we are now looking to expand the program in 2019 in order to serve more residents. We have also worked to equalize the playing field for high school students. 100% of graduating seniors in Corner House's 2018 outreach programs are continuing their studies in post-secondary education, and more than 60% of the class of 2019 have already been accepted early action to college. These are the highest levels of early action acceptances in the program's 18-year history. More than 220 students participate in Corner House's leadership outreach and prevention programs, and Corner House also handled over 5,000 treatment cases through its outpatient programs this year. The Princeton Health Department received National Public Health Accreditation in November. This prestigious honor is the result of rigorous review and efforts to strengthen the department's internal processes to be better prepared to respond to the needs of residents and to promote a healthy community. We are among only 3 local health departments in the state to achieve this honor, and the first in Mercer County. In 2019, the health department will seek to educate parents and students about the adverse health effects of e-cigarettes and vaping. More than 20% of Princeton students are currently vaping, according to a survey conducted by Corner House student board members in 2018. The municipality is also working with school administrators, the Youth Advisory Committee, Corner House, and the Task Force on Teen Stress to design community engagement and events surrounding mental health issues affecting our young people. In addition to investing in our social safety net, this past year saw major investments in our physical infrastructure. Princeton's First Aid and Rescue Squad broke ground on its new headquarters at the former Princeton Township Public Works site at the bottom of Witherspoon Street. The engineering department completed 2.5 miles of roadway reconstruction and resurfacing, started construction on a 4th joint Cherry Valley Road project with Montgomery Township, and installed new parking system equipment. In an effort to keep the town's unique sense of place and community intact, Council passed the Neighborhood Character Ordinance, a sweeping set of reforms addressing out-of-scale new houses, incentivizing the construction of new homes that will fit in with existing streetscapes, emphasizing front doors and porches, and de-emphasizing front-facing garages. The next phase of the Neighborhood Character Initiative will examine affordability issues, especially encouraging building and preservation of homes for the missing middle class. Princeton's Stormwater Management Ordinance, designed to curtail stormwater runoff and flooding from construction by requiring dry wells, rain gardens, and similar systems, drew praise in 2018. The Princeton Environmental Commission and municipal staff were recognized for their work in drafting this innovative ordinance with an Environmental Achievement Award from the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions. We expect to continue this work by crafting an innovative ordinance covering stormwater on redevelopment sites. Flooding continues to be a major concern for Princeton as we brace for further impacts from changing climate. The United Nations issued a climate change report at the end of 2018, turning to local municipalities to be key implementers of policies that will help avoid the worst consequences of global climate change. Princeton's Climate Action Plan is on track to be completed this year, with specific plans for how to improve our energy usage, land use, transportation options, and natural environment, waste management, and our climate resiliency. To curb our town's own impact on changing the climate, Princeton worked on innovative ways to reduce its food waste in 2018 and was named a finalist in the Bloomberg Foundation's Mayor's Challenge, a national civics solutions laboratory in which participating cities learn from each other in improving municipal operations. Princeton was one of 35 champion cities and received $100,000 to experiment with improvements to municipal food waste collection and processing. We continue to collaborate with Princeton University researchers to use behavioral science insights to help residents keep food waste out of the landfill so it could be turned into compost, reducing methane gas emissions. Participating in the Mayor's Challenge taught us many lessons about bringing an innovative design approach to government systems, including the fact that setbacks are a necessary part of the innovation process because from setbacks come learning, iteration, and improvements. We'll be putting these lessons to work as we continue to update our parking system in 2019. We've received significant feedback, and Council will be devoting a bulk of our first regular meeting on January 14th to reviewing the data and citizen comments to consider adjustments. In addition to the new parking technology, Princeton transitioned to a new website in 2018. On average, the new site attracts 700 active users per day and has logged over 600,000 page views since it went live. The site provides a more attractive, user-friendly interface for residents and businesses to find relevant municipal information online. We've also added dozens of online forms to make it easier to do things like renew a dog license, apply for a job with the town, or submit a fire safety registration form. We've instituted a weekly email newsletter to keep interested residents informed of municipal happenings, and we continue to see increased use of Access Princeton, the municipality's customer service center. Since launching almost 5 years ago, Access Princeton has processed over 30,000 issues. Technology upgrades on the freebie made riding the bus a bit more user-friendly in 2018 as well. Tracking equipment now allows transit riders to see the real-time location of both Tiger Transit and freebie buses online or via an app, and also on the information screen in the library lobby. None of the accomplishments this year would have been possible without the hard work of many of my colleagues here on Council and the hundreds of volunteers who serve on our boards and commissions. I want to thank my returning colleagues, Jenny Kremiller, Tim Quinn, David Cohen, and Leticia Fraga, for their tireless work and the spirit of productive collegiality they've helped to establish here. I also want to give a special thank you to our departing colleagues, Lance Liverman and Heather Howard, who have both done, yeah. I want to stand up too. You have both done so much to make Princeton a healthier, more equitable, and more welcoming community. And I also want to thank our dedicated staff. Thanks to all of you for helping us to achieve our goals this year. And I'm also very excited to be welcoming Dwayne and Eve to the council and look forward to the work we will all do in the coming year. In the next few weeks, Council will be taking the input we've heard from our board and commission members that advise us and developing a list of goals and priorities for 2019. Some of the big projects and priorities will include adding permitting to the new parking system, ensuring proper coverage in our fire department, redevelopment of the Princeton Theological Seminary property, working with the school district on possible shared services and additional ways to collaborate, and preparing for negotiations with Princeton University. There is much critical work to be done in the year ahead. I want to thank you again all for being here today, and thank you all for your partnership in making Princeton such a special community. And by working together, we can make our exceptional town even better, more affordable, more equitable, more sustainable, and healthier. So thank you, and Happy New Year to everybody. Now I'd like to turn the microphone over to Council President Jenny Kremiller.
Thank you. Liz. I won't say too much or you'll get a standing ovation, but you do deserve one, but don't stand up. I also want to thank everyone who came tonight and all the people who take the time to show up to our meetings, as well as those who contact us throughout the year. Keep those suggestions coming. In all seriousness, Princeton would not be Princeton without active and opinionated residents. I also want to use this opportunity to thank outgoing council members Heather Howard and Lance Liverman. We were lucky to have Heather with us, especially following consolidation. We will miss her sharp mind. She was a reliably strong, progressive voice, and that was especially important in her role as police commissioner as we established our new department. Heather has a way of asking questions that makes debates more productive. Personally, she is quick to laugh, fun to work with, and a good friend, and we'll really miss you, Heather. Lance will always be a Princeton institution, even if he's no longer serving in official capacity. Lance knows everybody, and he somehow always knows what's going on everywhere. He is also extremely kind-hearted and always looking out for the little guy. I know even though he says he wants a break from meetings, that he's not going to get a break from meetings because everyone wants him on their board or club or in their organization. So thanks, Lance. As for my new colleagues, it's exciting that they will be bringing new energy and new gifts to the council. Dwayne and Eve, it is so great you are here. Dwayne, I knew you from the planning board, and I knew how great you are, and I'm excited to have you joining us. Your lawyer skill is already evident in our unofficial discussions, and we're all going to benefit to have that officially. You have a great voice with your very slight Southern accent, so even when you disagree, we don't mind as much. Eve, it seems to me you have attended just about every single meeting possible since you've been elected. You are hitting the ground running, and I'm very happy to have you up with us finally. Leticia, David, Tim, and last but not least, Liz, I feel we've been a good team, agreeing a lot but disagreeing the right amount. Thankfully, we have no sheeple. I plan to make my last year the best year, and I say that with great enthusiasm because of the people up here, so thank you.
Mr. Quinn?
Thank you, Mayor. As I begin my third year on council, I'm ever more aware of what a great honor and distinct privilege it is to serve the town I've called home for 30 years. Every day when I attach this pin to my jacket, I pause to remember the great responsibility wearing it entails, a responsibility to act in the best interest of those who live here, as well as to be accountable to those who work, visit, and do business here. Before I share a few words about the year ahead, I'd like to, as all my colleagues probably will, take this opportunity to thank my now former colleagues, Heather Howard and Lance Liverman. Just so you know, we didn't do this at the last meeting, so you'll have to bear with us. When I was new on council, I could not have asked for better and more trusted advisors. As I've often said about Lance, if you live in Princeton and he doesn't know you, then you must have moved here yesterday. And if something happened in the last 50 years in Princeton and he doesn't remember it, you better check your facts to make sure it actually happened. As for Heather, she is someone who's created so much policy at the federal, state, and local level in a relatively short time that we often take for granted what an asset she is to our community and how lucky we are to have her living in Princeton. Both are selfless public servants whose decisions were informed by the needs of all in Princeton. They were in it for the right reasons, and I'm proud to call both of them friends. Work on council involves the fulfillment of goals that often take years and that sometimes inevitably lead to additional work. It is this follow-up work that has me most energized for the new year. Last year's council made several bold moves on issues once viewed as intractable. We passed the most significant changes to zoning in a generation, as a result of our Neighborhood Character Initiative, which I began working on in my pre-council days. We put in place specific policies that will effectively halt the growth of McMansions in our community. As the mayor mentioned, we will now look at ways to incentivize development and redevelopment that will allow seniors to age in place and for our middle class to stay and grow. While we appreciate the patience of our community as we work out the kinks, our adoption of a 21st century parking system shows that we are a forward-focused governing body, not afraid to make bold moves that are informed by data and the demographic and technology changes that are shaping our nation, and by extension, Princeton. We are also not afraid to admit when data and expert advice leads us to less than ideal solutions. So our work on parking will continue, both with the current hardware and software, but also exploring permit parking, employee parking, and another subject once thought intractable, overnight parking. Council accomplished much last year, but we did not do so in a silo. We were well aware of the significant community discussions around the future of our public schools as they relate to affordability. As we embark on 2019, it is with a great deal of personal satisfaction that I announce that both the municipality and Princeton Public Schools will be studying the possibility of sharing services to realize cost savings and more efficient delivery of services to the community. As much as I will miss working with Heather and Lance, I'm excited to welcome Eve and Dwayne. Eve and I actually share the same starting point for public service in Princeton. We were co-presidents of the Riverside PTO. And if you don't think PTO service prepares you to work on council, then you've never served as a PTO president in Princeton. I've worked with Dwayne for several years on the planning board, and I think his remarkable life experience will add considerable value to council. By now, working with my colleagues Letitia Fraga and David Cohen seems very familiar, though on council it has only been a year. Both are devoted to a better Princeton that works for all who live here, and I've learned a lot from each of their perspectives on the issues we face as a community. Together with our exceptional leadership team of Mayor Liz Lempert and Council President Jenny Crum-Miller, I hope Princeton Council will work with our professionals to continue to respect our past, improve the present, and anticipate the future in all our policy decisions. With the help of and support of my family and my colleagues at Princeton Library, I say, let the good work begin.
So I'm going to prove Tim wrong immediately and not spend any time telling Lance and Heather how wonderful they are, or the rest of my colleagues on the dais, not because it's not true, but just because I have a sort of a horror of speaking too long. So I want to keep it sharp and focused. And what I want to do is take this opportunity to talk a little bit about a pet project of mine. I was a little afraid Liz was going to mention it in her exhaustive report, but thankfully she didn't. So take advantage of all these eyes and ears and talk about the Neighborhood Buddy Initiative, which is something I've been working on in my capacity as liaison to the Local Emergency Planning Committee and the Senior Resource Center and the Climate Action Plan. So in Princeton, we've all experienced a prolonged power outage, a road closure due to downed trees, or localized flooding in our neighborhoods in recent years. Many have experienced all three, and we know the frequency of these events will only increase as climate change continues to impact our region with ever more frequent and forceful extreme weather events. For most of us, these occasions are simply an inconvenience, but for some of our neighbors, they can be life or death challenges. Many residents of Princeton are elderly, others have health challenges, physical limitations, or developmental disabilities, which may prevent them from dealing effectively with hazardous conditions created by extreme weather, or even from calling for help. Our wonderful first responders go above and beyond the call of duty to meet the community's needs at these times, but they have their hands full just answering calls for help. They need involved, caring citizens to take a role in reaching out to neighbors who may be in distress and unable to call for assistance. Sustainable Princeton and the Princeton Senior Resource Center are partnering with Council and the local emergency planning committee to reach out to neighborhood groups and introduce a program which will work to identify neighbors at risk and encourage members of the community to take on the task of checking in with these neighbors during emergency events, providing support and connecting them as needed to the appropriate professional services. We'll give guidance on establishing relationships of trust and make training opportunities available for those who would like to be further further develop their emergency preparedness skills. Sustainable Princeton, at the same time, is starting to roll out their STAR neighborhood program, educating residents how they can contribute to the important climate action plan that they've been laboring on for the past year. Please invite us to your next neighborhood gathering to learn more about these important initiatives and how you can help your neighborhood to become more age-friendly, resilient, sustainable, and connected. And I brought a few brochures which you can get from me, as long as they last, at the reception after the meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you. So I can hardly believe that it has already been a year since I first had the privilege of serving as your council member. On the one-year anniversary of being sworn in as the first Latina to serve on Princeton Council, I want to convey my gratitude to all the people who made 2018 a year full of many exciting firsts for me. I will miss sharing the dais with Heather Howard and Lance Liverman, who contributed and gave so much of themselves to make Princeton a wonderful place to call home. They have left a great legacy and path for us to follow, and I am committed to continue in their footsteps by ensuring social justice with making policy. I also want to welcome and say that I'm looking forward to working with my new colleagues, Eve Niedergang and Dwayne Williamson. I may still be fairly new at this, but even Dwayne, if I'm available to help and get you oriented, and if I can be of any assistance, please reach out. Bienvenidos. I want to thank so many of you for inspiring me to do this work every day. This past year, we have seen how this community mobilizes into action to express our love of community and our collective resilience. 2018 saw people coming together to rally in support of immigrants, victims of sexual harassment, and in response to tragic shootings throughout the country, to demand lawmakers take action against gun violence. It is encouraging and inspiring to see so many of our neighbors involved in the civic fabric that weaves our lives together. And I am very proud to be part of a community that cares for one another, and prouder still that we have persevered in promoting our status as a welcoming community. These efforts demonstrate that we remain committed to protecting one another and our shared values of opportunity, safety, and equality for all. In addition to continuing my work with most of the committees that I served on last year, this year I am very excited to be council liaison to the Civil Rights Commission and the Human Services Commission, as well as having the honor of serving as police commissioner. This coming year, I look forward to working with my colleagues and other community leaders to provide all Princeton residents with unconstrained opportunities to succeed in our community. I'm going to close by thanking my husband, Stephen Nadler. He couldn't be here today, but he's here in spirit, for his encouragement and support, and also my children, Sophia, Benjamin, Sandra, Antonio, and Sarah, and all my grandchildren. I don't know who wrote it, but one of my favorite quotes is, "I wouldn't change my children for the world, but I wish to change the world for my children." Yeah. It may feel impossible at times, but I believe that together we can make a difference. So let's get it done. Thank you and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
This is my first time up here, so let's see how it goes. I want to start by saying I'm both humbled and proud to be up here tonight. I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity to serve the community that I've lived in for 30 years and really have come to love. It's a unique opportunity, and I hope to make the most of it with your help. I want to start by paying a little bit of tribute to Heather and Lance again, just to say that over the last year they've been so gracious with their time, with answering questions, and really have been an invaluable resource to me in getting to know this job and getting to know aspects of the town that I wasn't familiar with. I'd also like to thank Mayor Liz Lempert for answering several billion questions, perhaps, and for her steady hand in guiding Princeton since consolidation. To my new colleagues, Tim Quinn, who, as he indicated, we've worked together before, Letitia Fraga, David Cohen, and to Council President Jenny Crew-Miller. I so appreciate your dedication to this town and, again, your advice over the last year. I'm sad that I'm only going to get to serve with Jenny for a year, but I hope to milk every bit of advice from her that I can. To Councilman Dwayne Williamson, who I've gotten to know over the last year, it's been a pleasure campaigning with you, and it will be an honor to serve with you, so thank you. So many people in this room spent time with me and shared their knowledge with me. It was really a wonderful experience to sit down with people who I didn't know very well, who just love this town and were happy to contribute their knowledge and their advice to anything that they could do to help me learn more and be more effective, both in campaigning and now in governing. I'd also like to thank everyone who worked on our campaign in the primary or the general election. Many of you are here and really could not have done it without you. It really does take a village. And thank you to my family, my husband of many, many years, Andrew Weiss, and my son Sam Weiss, who are both here, and my daughter Miriam Niedergang, who has sent good wishes from her new home in Somerville, Massachusetts. I thank you for your love and encouragement. Moving on from appreciation, my list of accomplishments on council so far is very short. I showed up, so that we're not going to waste too much time on that. Obviously, I hope to have more to say next January on this topic. But I would like to say to all Princetonians that I promise to work very hard and to always try my best to understand all sides of an issue. I am really open. I stressed this during the campaign, and I continue to stress this. I am open to your input, as many of my colleagues have said. This is not something we do on our own. It's something we do together. And without your input, the end product will not be nearly as good. And I also want to stress that it's not just the end result, but the process that's really important. And again, I think an open process leads to a better end product, and to people, even if they are not happy with the end product, they understand how we got there. I think that's really important. If I make mistakes, which I surely will, I hope you'll know they're not a failure of diligence or effort, and I hope to learn from any of those mistakes. There's a lot on the council agenda for 2019 parking. We've heard a little bit about that. The second parts of the neighborhood character study and the new stormwater ordinance, affordable housing, assuming we at some point reach a settlement of the lawsuit, the Institute Development Project, and more. the slate is very full, and after attending council meetings this year, I understand that the ship of state is neither agile nor speedy. But I think that there are good things to be learned from that, which is that the more input you give and the more open your process is, the slower it takes to reach decisions when you have more input. But I think that's a really good thing. The goals that I really want to focus on this year in general: affordability, fiscal responsibility, sustainability, and transparency. And I think those are key for myself and for everyone else up here. Since I started running for council, many people have asked me what I hope to accomplish, and I do have goals, both big and small. An example of the former would be to improve communications and openness and transparency on the part of the government. And an example of the latter would be establishing a dog park, which I think, many people, as I went door to door, talked to me about that. But I also feel, again, that I'm here to represent your goals and your aspirations. So I hope that you always feel that I am open to hearing from you, and I hope to count on that throughout the next year and beyond. And thank you. And Happy New Year.
Well, thank you, Mayor, members of council, municipal staff, fellow Princetonians, and all of our family and friends who have joined us this evening. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to those who supported Eve and I, or I should say Councilwoman Nita Gang and I, in our joint campaign for council. As you may recall, our campaign slogan was "A Princeton for All." We do not take this slogan lightly. We come to the governing body with the goal of implementing public policy to realize the vision of a Princeton for all. As residents, we have choices. On one hand, we can accept the status quo and try to be comfortable with it, or we can do better. We can ask ourselves the philosophical question: what does the best Princeton look like? Then we can find evidence-based and cost-effective ways to effectuate the public policy to realize that vision of the best Princeton. As for me, my goal on this council is to create an environment where each and every resident is encouraged to be his or her best self. Of course, government alone cannot do this. Government can only lead and foster support for this goal. We need all hands on deck. What each of us does individually has an effect on the other. Accordingly, we need the citizenry to look at our town as one big household. It cannot be us versus those people. We need to look at how we can all work together and do our individual part in this interdependent environment so that we can all mutually prosper. We have a wonderful town, but even among our prosperity, we are beset with many challenges. There are issues with municipal taxes and affordability, parking, an affordable housing mandate that we must meet, and one can argue exceed. We have national issues with local effect on our immigrant population. We have local businesses competing in a changing economic environment, competing against big box stores and online shopping options. We have global warming and its effect on our municipality with increased challenges in issues such as stormwater management. To address these concerns, we recently completed our municipal goal-setting sessions, which, by the way, were open to the public. And there we set some very ambitious goals for the year. We plan to employ innovative ideas to meet all these challenges. As we work to achieve these goals, I, for one, plan to look through several lenses for all municipal decisions. Among these are, one question to ask, was the public properly noticed? And was notice given enough time to garner sufficient input from the public? How do our municipal decisions affect our property taxes? How do these decisions affect the different demographic segments of our population, whether they're ethnic segments, religious segments, those who have another language from English as their primary language, our different age groups, groups who are differently able or disabled, and our different economic segments. Do our decisions contribute to making our town a walkable, bikeable town? Do our decisions help the environment by reducing our carbon footprint? Do our decisions contribute to a better quality of life for all of our residents? And as we work optimistically to achieving all of these goals, I pledge to be open to your ideas, to listen to your concerns, and work expeditiously and intelligently with my colleagues, with the mayor and my colleagues on council, to make our wonderful town, Princeton, even better. Thank you.
Right. Thanks to everybody. So I'd like to open it up now to public comment, if there's anybody who would like to speak. If you'd like to speak, then just come on right up to the microphone.
Yeah, hello. My name is Surinder Sharma, live at 237 Christopher Drive at Atoll Farm. First, thank you, Mr. Lieberman, and thank you, Ms. Howard. Wonderful services to the Princeton. Thank you. And thank you to all the distinguished colleagues and also distinguished gentlemen and persons who have been coming from the assembly, from the county and freeholders, and thank you, all of you. So again, congratulations to Mr. Williamson and Ms. A. Niedergang, thank you. And thank you to Jenny Kremler for being elected for a second time as the president. Great job and congratulations. I don't have words to express for Ms. Lempert, the mayor, the leader, who has been so wonderful for the many years, who've been working tirelessly and accomplished so many things that she mentioned and highlighted. Yes, there are many challenges, but Princeton, as a community, as a one united Princetonians, we are willing to work with you and take those challenges. Challenges are always opportunities, whether they are parking meter issues, whether they are affordable housing issues, whether they are climate issues, whether they are job creation issues, and there are solutions for that. Being a scientist and an engineer, to me, using scientific methods and technology provides many solutions to those challenges. I was prepared to discuss many of those issues and solutions, but one thing I like to request, hopefully you will consider that. We have many commissions and many boards and so on and so forth. One thing that I think we lack is a commission on science and technology, that I believe that we can have a separate board. We have a wonderful people in this community that we can use their talent, that you can use their experience to solve so many of the issues that we are facing. And whether they are parking meter issues or whether they are job growth issues, even affordable housing requires innovative solutions that we have discussed in the past. And so my request is that if we can have something regarding the Science and Technology Commission, that would go a long way. And I can see Andrew's smiling. I didn't discuss because he was here, but I can see, I think like science and technology is always a helpful tool that we can use. So I will really sincerely hope that you will consider that as a suggestion, and I'll be glad to give you some more inputs on that. And also I have provided some feedback on some of the agenda items that I did go through in detail, some of the items that I found some minor issues, nothing of important in any way, but being since this is an important issue regarding whether it's the cellular consulting work, whatever the case may be, but we have to be very accurate, very open, and very innovative. So thank you again, and congratulations, and welcome to the council. And Mayor, thank you for your leadership, and Jenny, great job, and council people, wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all, and appreciate that.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak as part of public comment? All right, seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment and invite you all down the hallway for a reception. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Sit.